In ancient times, before our days of peace, a valiant race was raised for fatal war. From sacred blood and hallowed soil they rose, to seize what foreign hands had dared to steal, and raise the chests of men with heavy breath. As women bore their hearts to guard the throne, and children raised the flag their kin had died, as this proud Volk secured their cherished land, and vowed to guard their future from the weak. Those envious foes with blood of other men, who dared to hollow out their nation's soul, and steal their pride and dim its storied past, to quench the flame that burns for race and land. I bring to you the people left behind, whose only crime was yearning for a life, yet born amid despair and bitter strife. Their leaders signed away their sacred rights, and left them lost to languish in despair. For those who lived through ages under kings, those patriarchs who ruled with sacred right, now bowed before the will of common men, and watched their honor yield to fickle rule. How can a rule by many still endure, when set against the many it must serve? Then rose the men who held no rightful claim, yet seized the people's labor for their gain. Men raised by blood and tied unto the soil, now found themselves in hands of foreigners, whose faces bore no kingship to the land, whose aims were not the people's common good, but shaped instead by private veiled desires, to take the land with no ancestral ties, and lecture those whose roots run through the soil, that they were never rightful to their land, that it belonged to all, but not for them, though all the land still bore their fathers' steps, and trees still held the labor of their hands. What worried most were those who thrived on strife, exploiting ruin for their wicked ends. To practice rites profane before the Lord, unmoved by harm they brought on innocence. The youth who lived in hunger and despair had minds corrupted by the poison spread, and taught to loathe their nation's legacy by those degenerates who lived in lust and spat upon the graves of ancestors. Yet worst of all, the sin that breaks the heart, they came to doubt themselves for what they are, and damn their country as a modern curse. They cast their past aside and scorned their flag, adopting hollow names to veil their shame, and chased their lust down into hell's abyss. The dreadful sounds of guns were soon outdone by cries that tore through kin and country both. Then came a silence heavy as a tomb, as thunder broke the earth's harmonious hymn. It tore in flesh a fear too deep to name, and drove all life to flee its unseen hand, leaving a hush more vast than any sound, a stillness felt beyond the reach of ears, where ancient trees that weathered centuries collapsed as swiftly as the leaves in fall. The nation, torn by crisis, bled within, and drowning dread consumed their every breath. The wars once fought to guard their native land had turned to fights in name of foreign doctrines, none bearing true the banner of the state. And so the people, lost and torn apart, were driven forth to spill their brothers' blood, and set to flame the roots from which they came, forsaking what their fathers died to keep, till every street became a stream of war, and violent change appeared a fated course. The people feared the clash of fractured sides, and found no help in weak, unstable laws. The world called them the losers of the age. Their rulers cast them to the waiting wolves. Their shepherd gone, their pasture turned to ash. They feared the end of their anointed flock, and cried for God to send a shepherd forth, to forge anew a strong and ordered state, prepared to wield such force as need demands, and bring back order to a broken land as in the ancient days where Kaisers ruled. When power bows to neither crowd nor plea, but dwells within one consecrated hand, from man endowed with purpose from above, he shields his people from all lurking threats, and wipes the shame from off his nation's name. They longed to see their fallen Reich restored, and placed their hopes in strength they once adored.